Today we are going to install a little exterior light on the outside of this pole barn.
I hope this video helps you. If it does, would you mind helping me by clicking subscribe? I appreciate you.
Step one, you need to figure out where you're going to put the light fixture. And on metal buildings, it's real important that you avoid placing it on a rib. So where that rib comes out, you don't want to be there at all. What I'll end up doing is centering it between ribs. That way it'll look nice and it'll be as flush as possible. Okay, you need to grab yourself a new work light box. This is one that I already had on hand. Yours may not have this fancy bracket on the side, which just makes it a little bit easier to mount. But grab yourself one of those, and it's always a good idea to go ahead and get the fixture out at this point too, and just check, make sure that it's going to work with your light box. This fixture is going to use this bracket to mount it there, and then it allows you to swing the screw holes any direction that you need it, which is pretty fancy and nice. Now, once you've got your light box, you're going to use that as a template on the outside of your building, so you know what to cut. So I took a pencil and I held this light box up about where I was going to be putting it, and went ahead and just kind of outlined it. Once it was outlined, I took this bracket that came with mine, held it where it's going to go, and made sure to just extend that box over just a tad on each side where that's going to be. Now, you're probably looking at this and going, that is the worst looking drawing I ever saw. You call that an outline? Well, here's the deal. It doesn't really matter what the shape is that you cut out. It does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful. All that matters is that when you put this fixture over it, that it's completely covered. And mine is. And so, as long as I don't cut out anything beyond where this fixture goes, this will look beautiful when I'm finished. I should also mention that before you cut, you just want to go ahead and check the backside and make sure that there's nothing in the way, like maybe something like this, piece of wood or anything like that. I think the best way to cut this metal is with a grinder that has a cutting blade on it, and I'd recommend using one that has a guard, unlike this one. Finished with the grinder, and as you can see, there's still spots in each one of these little corners where it's still attached, and that's because of the nature of the wheel. I'm not going to be able to cut too well all the way to those corners without risking going too far. So what I'm going to use to finish my cut is a keyhole saw with a metal blade in it. If you don't have one of these, I know a lot of people might not, you could probably get by just using the blade from a reciprocating saw and doing that by hand. And you know, heck, you might even, if you're in a hurry, you can stick a reciprocating saw in here and do it that way too. But in my case, it doesn't take a whole lot to get this cut by hand, and I can be a lot more accurate with this than I would be using a saw. I'm going to use a razor blade knife to cut the double bubble insulation that's behind here. And speaking of tools that don't have safety features, check out this razor blade knife. There's no way to retract the blade. When you're finished using it, you either have to take it apart and put the blade inside, or you just leave the blade out and be dangerous. Got that bracket mounted to my light box now, and I was able to just kind of test fit it right here and see that I do indeed have to extend out where those screws are going to be. And so, to extend that out, all I'm going to do is just take some snips and cut it. So the plan is, now that I'm on the back side, we're gonna take a piece of wood and mount along here straight up and down that the light box will be able to connect to. So I'm gonna go ahead, get measurements, and cut a 2x4 to the size. Now that I got this 2x4 cut to the size, I can put the box in its hole pretty much exactly where I want it, and then take this 2x4, kind of get it in this place, figure out where I want it, and that allows me to get everything lined up perfectly before I put anything in. I'm gonna go ahead and mount the light box first to the 2x4. I pressed these points into the lumber, and that gave me my location for where I want to mount this. So now I just sit it kind of on there where I want it. I couldn't hammer it in up there because there's just nothing holding this board, but I can got it here on the ground. I can get it all in good and screw it to the board. Now that's mounted, I can get it right where I want it, and then we'll just toenail some screws to get this board mounted. Here's a look of what we got on the outside now. I probably should have done this before installing this light box, but I need to go ahead and get this knockout out and get that installed. So I'm going to punch that. These install pretty easily. You just stick it up and through there, and then screw this down on the other side and get it good and tight. This is a 15 amp circuit running 14 gauge wire. Got the wires all run. Wiring up this switch is super simple. We're gonna just wire nut the white wires together. We're going to tie the ground wires together and then pigtail off to the green screw on the back of the light switch. Then you're going to connect each black to a brass screw on the back of the switch. And the connections at the light fixture side are, you guessed it, white to white, black to black, and ground to ground. Those just get wire nutted together. You probably won't have this option, but I have some extra foam seals left over from when this building was built, and I'm going to use that in the top gap where to keep rainwater from getting in there from where this is going to stick out from the side of the building just a tad bit. Now, if you don't have that kind of sealant, you could caulk that gap just the same and just as easily. I'm not applying this at the bottom because if water does get in there, I want it to be able to get back out. This is purely just to try to help keep water from getting in there in the first place. Now, after turning off the power coming into the breaker box, we opened this thing up. I thought I'd show you just how it's going to be hooked up. Got a 15 amp breaker right here. It's going to go right here in this space. Got black wire is going to come in here to the breaker. The white wire is going to go right here to the common rail, and the ground wire is going to go right over here with the other ground wires. And there it is, the final product. It's actually been mounted for 2, maybe 3 years now, and I'm just now posting the video content and getting this edited up. But I really hope that this video helped you. If it did, would you mind helping me by clicking subscribe? I'm trying to grow this channel into a full-time job, and I have a long way to go, but every subscriber helps. I appreciate you.